I just finished volume 1 of probably the most disappointing manga I've read in such a long time. So the volume 1 that I'm so insanely disappointed by is actually gonna maybe shock some people. The series I'm discussing here is, if I can pull it up, this is Platinum End.
No, 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 no. Wait. Wait.
So Platinum End was made by the same creator as Death Note. And before we dive into the series, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I have tons of videos dropping soon, tons of manga and anime reviews, and I also have a bunch already posted on the channel. We got the One Piece watch along, the Dragon Ball Z watch along, as well as all my reviews on manga that I've done. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and let's dive into the series. And when the series was coming out, I heard so many people just goating the series off rip. I think it was impartial just due to the fact that the creator of Death Note was creating a new series, but also just these covers are insane. Like, I'll put more covers around, but the covers across the board for Platinum End are all really good. So before I dive into my feelings and thoughts on this book and this, initial volume, let me go and break down the story for you guys so you can kind of get an idea of where I'm coming from. The story focuses on our MC Mirai or I don't know how to pronounce the bro's name, but this is how you spell it. And our character is about to take their own life when they're approached by an angel who basically gives them the powers of an angel as they're about to jump off this building and commit suicide. Now that's a basic bare bones introduction. We get a lot more in this volume overall, but that's kind of the jumping off point that pushes us in the series. We go on to learn more about the angels, their powers, as well as our MC and kind of how they got to where they're at currently in the series. We learn that our main character has a super troubling backstory where their parents were killed in like a car accident and now they live with their aunt and uncle who are extremely abusive to them. So we get a good amount of backstory with our main character and with the angel that gives him his powers as well. And the big kind of pushing off point past him just getting those powers is that we find out that he's not the only person basically contacted by an angel. We learn that there are 12 other individuals that were also given the same powers that he was given, and that these individuals, including himself, are basically selected to decide who's going to become the next god, because the current god is either dying. They don't really explain what's going on with the current god and why they need to be replaced. But point is, they're looking for the new replacement of God, and they're trying to just figure out who's going to be a worthy person, I guess. Now, off rip, this sounds initially really dope. We have the angels going on in the background. We have this whole idea of what does it mean to actually be God? What is, what entails? They don't explain any of that in this first volume, but you can expect that they'll probably dive further into that later on. They also have this crazy backstory with our main character where they have this really kind of dark, just unhappy life that they've been living. And we're already jumping in right, as they're basically about to kill themselves. So you can assume that things have kind of reached their peak as far as how bad they could get for our character. And that's a really good storytelling device, giving our characters something to kind of bite onto that we can look at and maybe either find, something to relate to, something to show empathy with. Something like that is always good with an MC, because you don't want an MC that just basically is a bare bones character. However, I think that's kind of the big issue here is our character's pretty much only quality is his backstory. He has no personality really at all. I didn't find anything really redeeming or interesting or cool about this main character. And not cool in the sense that like Brad to be dripped out, but just in the sense that there was nothing really guiding me to learn more about his character or even see further into his story or his life or anything. And even the plotline of his abusive family and everything gets completely resolved within this first volume. He accidentally just murders the entire family of the aunt and uncle, and basically they're done. Like there's no redemption or any sort of, or find redemption within himself. It's just, it's completely resolved here in this first volume. So this whole idea of our character having this really troubling backstory past volume 1 is kind of irrelevant. Now he's just a sad guy. There's really nothing else about our character that I find interesting at all. And I think characters don't need to be boring to have a bad backstory in terms of like just a hard backstory or hard life. You look at characters like Denji from Chainsaw Man that literally were selling parts of their body off for money, and he still is a super huge charismatic character that has a big personality that actually, even though his motivations are pretty basic, just wanting to touch girls and stuff, he still has a motivation. And then you even look at someone like Sasuke from Naruto, who's a very stoic, very kind of quiet character who doesn't really bring much to the table as far as, he doesn't talk a lot, he doesn't interfere in with a lot of friendships or relationships in the story of Naruto, but he brings a lot to the table when he's on screen, when he's on page. You can't help but look at Sasuke and just either bros just looks super dope, has really cool powers, or has a certain charisma or energy that's hard to explain. If you've read Naruto or watched Naruto, you know what I'm talking about, where a character doesn't need to say a lot or do a lot at a certain time for me to give my attention to that character, really. Our MC here, just without his backstory, feels like the most default, blank, just bland, like isekai kind of looking character. Like there's just nothing about him that I found, and I keep saying this because I don't really know what other way to say this other than I just don't find him interesting at all. So we have a really boring MC, but let's look into the angel aspect. Maybe that could kind of redeem us. And initially at first I was really interested because this idea of angels giving powers down to these individuals to become God, that seems really cool. However, it quickly becomes super uninteresting, just like RMC. If you just think about it for a few moments, we essentially have just 12 different mirror matches for our main character. Now, this is the first volume, so this could change drastically as the series goes on, but as far as we know right now, everyone was given the same exact powers from the angels. So there's no one really with an insane different power or insanely unique power. They all kind of have the same general thing. Granted, they can use it in different ways, but that basically just still leaves us with just a bunch of mirror matches, which isn't bad. They could still do something with that storyline. I just don't find it that appealing, and again, it just doesn't push me to keep reading the series. Now, there was one thing at the very end that kind of maybe held on to something a little bit for me. See, our main character has basically maybe 2 references to a love interest throughout the whole story. They're really light. There's nothing really specific or major mentioned. We just know that he likes a girl. And then we learn at the very end that the girl that he likes, the love interest, whatever, is one of the people that was given angel powers too. So he potentially might have to fight her or take her down or whatever, right? And that's really dope because that means we have kind of a love triangle where our main character loves this girl, but then the girl is also a love interest, but then also like an antagonist too, maybe. So there could be a lot of outcomes for that seem really cool initially, until you kind of just think about it for a second. This girl, this love interest, we know literally fucking nothing about. Like, she has been name dropped maybe twice, maybe even less than that. So she really has no real weight on the story. She has no real push on the story when she's introduced. So kind of, it doesn't necessarily invalidate her being shown off at the end as kind of a potential antagonist, but it does lower the blow that I think it would have if we had spent some time with her throughout the beginning of the story. And again, this is just a review and kind of first impressions on volume 1. I am not fully done with the series, and I don't know if I ever will be. It just really did not pull me in at all. And please don't comment anything stupid saying, it gets really good in volume 5. I think that's just the most annoying thing people can say about, manga, anime, TV shows, movies, anything like that. If things get really good at a certain point, that means that at a certain point they were also not good or bad. And it's just kind of, I get it, shows have climaxes and then they kind of decline after tension and whatnot. But you look at shows like Breaking Bad, that off rip, if you've seen the first episode of Breaking Bad, the first season, it's consistently great throughout. So I think to say that you have to wait for a certain threshold for things to be good, it's just kind of a cheat, and I don't like using that, especially in more modern stuff. I think older manga, older anime, older TV shows maybe is a lot different just because we have a different, track of mind now, different way we consume content now. But especially more modern stuff like Planet Man that was just released not that long ago, there's really no excuse for this first volume to be so boring and so uninteresting. So honestly, I might just be giving this volume away. So go ahead and subscribe and comment on this shit, because I'm probably gonna give this away and a bunch of other manga away soon too, just because I have no real interest in reading this, but you might still find some enjoyment out of it. Obviously I didn't, so subscribe for a big giveaway coming soon, and hopefully you guys can win this. So have you read Platinum Men? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Have you seen the anime? Was the anime really good? Let me know what you guys' thoughts on this series are in the comments, and go subscribe. I have a bunch of dope videos coming up soon, so reviews on manga, anime, even some video essays maybe potentially dropping soon, so stay up on that.